Often that we can see that technology adoption within a lot of spaces, but particularly in stadiums and venues, can be somewhat piecemeal. One thing that you have championed at Real Betis is it's implementing it as part of a strategic program and really working on how it's adopted culturally. Could you talk a little bit about how you've approached that and the results that have come from it?
Yes, okay. As I mentioned before, Real Betis is a really well-known brand in Spain, but we came from a very bad period, and now we have increasing a lot in our club. Now we are in the 4th position in social media, TV audience, people attendance, the average of attendance. So, but all this increase, all this progress is due to a business plan. We wrote down a business plan with many key features. And in these business plans, of course, for us it's very important the innovation. Innovation is a key of our strategy, and innovation, of course, means that we have to embrace technology. But in our opinion, technology is not the goal, it's a tool. Technology may help you, or of course it's going to help you to achieve your goals, but it's not the final goal. So change not required many times. The most important thing is to change the behavior of the consumer, to change the behavior of your company, to change the culture. And sometimes you can introduce changes that doesn't mean that you have to spend a lot of money in investing in technology, but it may help you to get a lot of revenue. So innovations, for example, paperless tickets. I may understand that maybe in the States everybody now is using paperless tickets, but for example in Spain we are fighting against La Liga because still they oblige us to use paper tickets. It doesn't help us, for example, to sell tickets to tourists. Seville is a very tourist place, but it's very difficult to sell paper tickets to tourist people, or to do upgrading or any other services. So this is why we are trying to introduce the technology in 3 different phases. I think we introduce technology is a journey, and we have in the first step is without a lot of investment, but trying to modify the habits. For example, we did something like we made some contests, and the kids, they can have a picture with the starting 11 with a contest in the web page. There's no cost, it's an innovation, a lot of revenue. The same with the flags. We have some kids that at the beginning of the match, they are waving the flags surrounding the pitch. No cost, great ROI, great revenue, because the people is very happy with that. Of course, also, as well, we are doing a 3rd bench. Just next to the players' bench, we have built a 3rd bench, another good product, innovation with no cost. In the 2nd stage, we are now in this stage, we are creating new services. For example, through our website, you can do the upgrade of your season tickets. For example, you have in Real Betis, we have 10,000 kids season ticket, so with a low price. But if the match is very late in the night, you can upgrade your kids season tickets, and you can invite one friend of you. For example, we are implementing services of loaning your season tickets. So these kind of services using technology, but not a very expensive technology, is the 2nd phase. And the 3rd phase is the smart stadium. This is our aim, our goal, to connect the stadium and to start using services like food and beverage to your seats, food and beverage in a fast queue, smart lighting, all these kind of things. So I think it's a journey. You have to think in the culture, to change the mentality, and in my opinion, in Spain and in a club like Real Betis, not a big club, we have to go step by step in different phases.
Great, thank you very much. And just taking on that point about phasing technology and almost focusing on the low-hanging fruit initially. Joseph, can I come to you in relation to what you do within the AEG festivals that that focuses on that phased approach, but also really delivers some initial revenues from the off without a lot of upfront investment?
Yeah, so I think we've viewed like technology and specifically apps within the festival portfolio as a 3-year phase. The first year was concentrating on getting above 95% paperless tickets across both festivals, and trialling the bones of an upgrade system, which we then rolled into our venues in London and across Europe. And the upgrade system, through the app, was basically targeting people. BSD has lots of different levels. We've got a gold circle and a diamond circle, depending on the show, and the technology enabled us to push upgrades to specific ticket holders. So if you had a gold circle ticket, we could offer you a diamond circle upgrade. And that was our key focus for year one. And into year two, we're looking at trialling pre-ordering F&B, looking at pre-ordering parking options around both festival sites. So yeah, we're definitely looking at it as a stage thing. And year one is definitely focused around what kind of data we can get out of the user, and changing the user's perhaps perception of app and technology and the way they interact with it on site. Yeah, moving more towards it being a tool rather than a, I don't know. Yeah.
Good, thank you. And Mike, along the same sort of lines, you have, I guess, a unique viewpoint of being both a buyer in this space and an advisor for suppliers, so advising on the best types of technology for clubs to use. What type of approach do you advocate when looking at new technologies, both for your clients and then with your buyer's hat on?
Yeah, I think following up on the data points, really we talk about technology existing in 3 layers: a data layer, an application layer, and an infrastructure layer. So if we think about data, people get a little bit lost in the world of what that could mean or how that could work. Applications people are aware of, mobile apps, access control, ticketing systems, etc. People are aware of applications. And I guess infrastructure is then sort of your network, your connectivity, and sort of the backhaul of what your network would look like. So what we're looking with our client base with is, how do you start with the business outcomes to decide what data it is that you want? And from understanding the data that you want, you can then build the applications or procure the applications that are going to provide you with that data. And from the applications that you then have in your estate, you can start to build out the infrastructure to support them, so that we're working down from the top of the pyramid right to the bottom. Too often it's the other way up, so we build an infrastructure that then can't support the app that's being deployed or provide the data or the real-time analytics that we're looking to deliver. But for me, in terms of where technology is heading, is that intersection between commercial efficiency and operational efficiency. And when you can do that with a simple metric that delivers value front of house and back of house, that's where you're really starting to win. So if we go back to that first point about data, what is that data point? It can be anything, and the best example I've seen recently was a ticket scan. Be it on a mobile, be it paper, the ticket scan then becomes a data point, which then becomes a trigger. So one of the challenges often in providing great customer service in hospitality is when people are going to arrive. How are you going to get the meal to the seat, how it's still going to be hot, how it's going to be fresh, waiting times, etc. Now, if we can geotag where people are coming into the proximity of the stadium, then we know from a ticket scan when they've entered the stadium. That provides 3 layers of benefit to us. From the kitchen staff, understanding when people are arriving per table and how many heads are on site at the moment, hugely powerful to be able to serve most efficiently. If you're the box holder who's paying for this premium experience, you want to know who your guests are, when they're going to be arriving, how far away are they. If you can bring this back in from that same scanner, those same geofencing, you're providing value to the customer. And from a business intelligence point of view, going back to operational and commercial for the venue or the club who's then implementing that, they're able to see how early are people coming in, what sort of trends are we finding, per package, per lounge. Why is this lounge coming in much earlier than this lounge? What is it that we're offering and how are we working that? So you're generating business value, you're generating customer value and generating operational efficiency. And in that sweet spot in the middle is where technology best sits.
Nice. I'd like to move on to data. Can I just have a show of hands from the audience as to who actively collects and uses their customer data? Okay, because sometimes what we see is that the data is a bit like a children's Christmas toy. In that a kid at Christmas, you really want it. You really want it. Who owns the data? Do I own the data? Can I have it? And then when it's actually delivered, it's sort of looked at. I love data. I'll play with something else now. And I've often wondered, you know, being a business that is driven by data, so I have the opposite view. But is there a sense that data is the emperor's new clothes? Everybody wants it. Does it actually really do anything, or are we doing enough with it? Could I ask you that question, Ramón, and what you do with data and how you actively use it to drive your business?
Yes, the data for us is very important because we have been collecting data from many different points, you know? From the shops, from the food and beverage, from the shareholders, from the season ticket holders. So now the first thing that we have done is to organize all this data, to put all together in one single database, and to start doing some kind of marketing campaigns with that. So for me it's very important to try to offer a customized service for each of my clients. Because for instance, if I bought last year 9 jerseys of Real Betis, I did. So it could be a good idea if Real Betis sent me an email saying, for next season you have a discount, because I am a hardcore buyer of jerseys. And this is what I want to do, is just try to define some the different types of clients and offer them different types of products. But of course, again, my goals have to be very reasonable. Because the question, if you want to know everything about everybody and do something very, very difficult, at the end you don't achieve the goal, so you get frustration in your team, you get frustration in the market, and you don't move forward. So my idea is to start doing something with my season ticket holders. Is something that's data, a group of people that I have a lot of information about them. Then the second group could be the people that are buying in the shops. The third group could be the people that are buying or interacting with us in the social media. So moving step by step.
And have you had to bring in any specialist expertise or resources in order to know that you're properly using that data in the right way?
Yes, of course we have used 2 consultancy companies. One that was offered to us by La Liga. And now in the last time I'm working with Salesforce. It's a data analytic data company. So of course I think this journey is a long journey, a difficult journey, and you have to travel to try to go with the best guy. The people that show you how to get real value from the data, from the technology, and of course to have people in your house that can translate what they know, but into the reality.
Sure, great, thank you. And same question to you, Jim.
Well, data for us forms many different functions, but I guess the key one for festivals is how we use it operationally, and we use it in a few ways. We use it to profile our audience ahead of gates, which is hugely important for our work with the police. We use it for entrance and egress. Again, a big piece with the Met. This year, the quarterfinals of football clashed with the Cure headline show. We were very worried that after the game we'd have 65,000 people try and descend upon Hyde Park all at once. So we sent a questionnaire to everyone who bought tickets, giving us an idea of their ETA, and we moved our gates and our staff around to facilitate a quicker entrance for our crowd. And also bar staff, movements around sites, getting an idea of stock, what stock we need for our audience and where to move bar staff on a day. Like, data from an operational point of view is really quite important for us.
Great. And Mike, where have you seen it best used?
Yeah, I guess in that same context, in terms of operational efficiency and being able to drive things, If we take the Ryder Cup as a real-time experience, we were able to know where people were, where they'd been prior to that, what routes they were taking. And the reason that was so important for us is, of course, on the Friday and the Saturday, you had 60,000 people, but only following 4 holes. There's only 4 holes of the course active at any one point in time as they move around. So people flow becomes really interesting in knowing how people are moving from the 9th to the 15th to get ahead of the next set of games coming through. Actually helps us to smart route people. And when we say smart route, that's with 2 things in mind. That's with your health and safety, for where the closures are going to be, for the players to be able to go through safely. But that's also commercially. How can we route people via concession stalls? How can we route them via the way where we've got commercial opportunity to either expose partner branding and link into that sponsorship piece, or directly sell B2C out to that consumer. I think globally, though, with data, it's almost coming towards the bottom of the bell curve at the moment. It was pretty easy about 10 or 15 years ago, and I use that term relatively lightly, because there just weren't many data sources. There you had a ticketing system, you had a hospitality system, putting 2 things together was quite easy. Social media, new platforms, new technologies, the innovation that we're talking about here all coming in, then leads to the proliferation of big data, and the term which then feels slightly more complex and difficult to work with. We're kind of coming back off the end of that now in sort of a more open API world of being able to connect data more readily, where people are actually understanding that if they focus with data, they can achieve a lot. And I've moved away from that. We've got a box this big and it's full of data, and it's unwieldy and unmanageable, to actually I only want a box that big, but it's linked directly to our business KPIs, and that's how we're going to iterate our performance.
And do you think that that clubs, organisations, venues need to set out a data strategy?
I think I need to set out a business strategy. If you start setting out a data strategy, particularly, you're probably doing it without a full end game in mind. And it's back to your point about the reality of where people want to go. If they have a business strategy to achieve a certain amount of fan retention over that period of time, then the measurements for how that will work will fall back into data, and you'll start measuring things, you start providing those analytics. Ditto if you're looking to acquire a new sponsor, and it's shirts, front of shirt sponsor sign renewal. That's your organisation. So who's doing it well? You'll start asking these business questions. That's where data can start to help you. So I see it more as how is data and technology helping the business outcome, rather than having a data strategy particularly, which then they might lose that focus.
I agree. One of the things that we see a lot, or focus on a lot, is any part of technology should be able to generate a return on investment very, very quickly. And it should stack up against an existing business case and help to support that. One of the things that is commonly brought to our attention or questioned to us when we're looking at technology implementations is, how do you ensure that it's adopted? Whether it's mobile app, whether it's web, whether it's in stadium and in venue, if you're investing in something, how do you get people to actually use it? I'd be interested to hear, maybe Joe, if I could start with you, how have you looked to encourage that adoption? And from a marketing point of view, which is very much where you sit, how do you ensure that the technology you're investing in is used by people?
I mean, so the festivals, our key piece there was that the app was the only place that you could get set times, so it was a bit of a no-brainer. And we saw good numbers on both festivals. I think across the venues it's a bit harder, and I think they drive that with competitions, and the uptake isn't as good comparatively. BST was like the audience of BST is a lot older than All Points East, so I think adoption there was a bit trickier. It was a bit slower than we might have expected, but All Points East is a younger, hipper East London crowd. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. And Mike, where have you seen technology adopted really well, or what strategies have been put in place in order to make sure that technology is adopted?
Yeah, I think it's a blend between 2 things really. The first is the value exchange between using that technology, and that's really obvious to say, but that ranges from, as you were talking on earlier on with digital ticketing, everyone coming to a venue needs a ticket to get in. If the ticket is contained within the app, then the app will be adopted, and how you enrich the ticket then becomes the question, rather than how do we deploy the app. But that can link all the way back. I did a fans forum for the Stadium for Bath project several months ago, where we asked the open question, how can Bath Rugby make your match day better? And that wasn't technology led, that was just that open question, and we took some learnings out of that. And that was really for them about the one-to-one interaction with them. And from a stadium point of view, I think we've always been guilty, particularly over the last decade, of treating general admission tickets in particular as general admission tickets. We're all the same people. There's the four of us here, sitting in the same type of seat, sitting next to each other, but all four very different people. So how can I configure my experience by doing that and help them to identify individually with the brand, with the club, with the venue that they're going into, so they can take what they want out of it. Too often in our communications, when we're launching technology, we focus on one key thing: check out this new augmented reality piece in our app. And that's what gets pushed out on social, and that's what gets pushed out on the website, and that's what's in the call to action to download the app. It ignores 80% probably of what's happening in that application, and if you're not particularly bothered about AR, then you probably don't download it. So the messaging isn't relevant to the individual and to that person. But I think one of the interesting bits of messaging really is that sometimes you need to be a bit self-deprecating in what's gone before to help people understand the future. And it's an internal story of staff rather than an external story of customer. But when we were doing the transition from Upton Park to London Stadium for West Ham, there's of course a physical relocation for the staff, new systems, new things coming in, a big period of change, and that change management piece was clearly quite important. So we started putting up notices about how bad elements of their working life were around the office from technology. Is the printer jammed again? Have you just had to dash to it because we haven't got the ability to scan a card to print? Is the PC still loading after you've made your cup of tea? Items like this, where there've been a lot of legacy tech and a lot of legacy things happening there, we were moving to sort of a brave new world. And almost by highlighting some of the things we hadn't done so well before, it got them excited about the journey in front of them.
Nice. Ramón, you've got another interesting take on technology. I think one that's very prevalent here is that the technology has to work within the building. It has to work within that physical space and support it. At Real Betis, you're looking at a very interesting concept in conjunction with Philips, technology provider, in terms of smart lighting. Can you describe this? Because I think it's really fascinating.
Yes, in the phase 2, we arrived at an agreement with Philips, and we are doing the lighting show at the beginning of the match to increase the value of the experience of coming to our stadium. But we started talking with them, and now we are doing with them a test. We use smart lighting. This is one part of the stadium. We're using the smart lighting. That means that Philips, they can use the light to try to change the behavior of the people. For example, they put more lights in the gate that is empty, and they put darker the gate that is full of people. So the consumer say, okay, I'm going to go to this gate because the light show you that you should go there. No? We are using the lights not only for that, but also for the bar. So we put more lights in the bar that you have less queue than in the bar that is full of people. And we are using the lighting 5 minutes before the half time. We put more lights in the bar, so if you are in the stand, you see the lights. Okay, it's time to go for a beer. So we are using the lights in a smart way. And why we are doing that? Because of course the mobile technology is a good way to try to interact with your consumers, with the people that are in your stadium. But with the mobile, all the stadium will have some problems because the connection is a big issue. There is a lot of WiMAX solutions and these kind of things, but in the old stadiums and not in the really brand new stadium, Wi-Fi connection is a really hard point to achieve. But lighting is very easy because at the end it's just to use LED technology with some smarts that help you to use the light in a smart way to try to change the behavior of your consumer.
Nice, that's really interesting. And I think it sort of hammers home that technology in its purest form needs to be simple. It needs to serve a purpose. And I think we've all seen examples of the opposite of that, where technology has failed. And in my previous life, I used to run a business that recorded artists. And I'll give you an example of a major technological fail where it ignored operations. Is we were recording Elton John at a multi-stage festival, and the recording equipment was set under the stage. And just as the set was about to start, I was hearing from our engineers underneath the stage, and it was something like,
we've lost Elton. We've lost Elton. Over. Where the fuck is Elton? Where the fuck is Elton?
Excuse my language. And what they were doing was sitting under the wrong stage, about to record Elton John, but actually we're going to be recording a rock band instead. And they had to hot-foot it over, set it up with a microphone, and unfortunately missed the start of Rocket Man, just because they couldn't see what was going on and they were under the wrong bloody stage. Guys, I'd like to ask you, what are the major technological fails that you have seen? Obviously not that you've been part of, because you're all geniuses. But what are the major technological fails that you've seen from other people? And maybe
I think particularly from a new build point of view, there is often a disconnect between sort of the M&E side of the world and what they believe technology is. And therefore the strategies end up in conflict with one another. Really, it's about aligning the business to what's going on. It fails when technology is deployed for technology's sake. People don't adopt it, people don't understand it, it's a cost centre rather than a revenue generator. So really look at your physical space and what you're looking to achieve in it, and put those two things together. Will save you a huge amount of heartache. I mean, if I were looking around this room, as you started talking about those, I started looking at the hard ceilings and the items like that from a connectivity point of view, where you'd naturally look to hide your access points for Wi-Fi and things like that. Of course, if you get that wrong, you put a hard ceiling, and it costs a hell of a lot to take that down with the chandeliers and the lighting on top of it. So being flexible and thinking about access routes and building that into the design, first and foremost, to give you that future flex, to be able to deliver something in a very an older space or another space, is really where you can avoid that pitfall.
Cool. And I guess don't invite you round to dinner because you'll be checking the house out for
always.
Nice. And Joe, any major technological fails that you've witnessed?
Google Maps has let me down way too many times.
We've all been there.
Like, festivals and the way they move, like physically on the day, the way you move fences and areas, and when you put 65,000 people in the field and the connectivity problems you have with that. So I think, like, internally we're looking at different solutions, moving away from Google Maps to different beacon technology or crowd-connected type things. It's less of a problem on the arena side because they don't move, but fields literally move. So yeah, I think that's been our biggest technical downfall.
Nice. And Ramón?
Something about the infrastructure, that you need to have the required infrastructure. 3 years ago, in the General Assembly in Real Betis, when we were fighting to arrive into the club, to vote, there was a QR system that you need guy by guy to vote with a gun. So you have to vote the 13 people that were going to be in the board committee.
Okay.
So we spent 1 hour with the first guy.
Right.
So and all the people that were supporting us were very old people were there. So we say, oh, we are gonna lose because the people are gonna be annoyed of being waiting here for 13 hours to vote. So they are gonna leave, no? So finally we decide that we're gonna do only one votation.
Okay.
For not 13, because in theory you have to vote guy by guy the 13 members of the board committee. But we vote one member for one team and one member for the other team. So it was a great fail because the infrastructure was not right.
Yeah.
They decided not to invest in technology, so they don't use the right technology, and it was a real disaster because people couldn't vote.
Okay.
Just to follow on from that, infrastructure is a really interesting one because it's the thing that people in the business understand the least and the thing that's probably the most important. And it's partly why we start with data at the top and work our way back down that funnel to build out an infrastructure that's suitable for the business and the requirements. But I've started using pet analogies recently, so I thought I'd just share one briefly with you on that basis. When we think about infrastructure, a server and a dog can follow a relatively similar timeline. So you have a capex investment up front, you buy your server, you buy your pet, you've got your Labrador now, You have your server, you need to have professional services with your server to configure it and move it around. You have training for your dog to stop it peeing in the house. You go onwards, and with your dog you're paying vet bills and maintaining them, keeping them in good health. You have annual service contracts for your servers and you move. And eventually both of them end their lives, and to start that again you go right back to the start of that piece and you buy another dog or you buy another server. Now the challenge for technology in the rate that it's moving at the moment is when you've committed to your Labrador and you've made that investment, when the next person comes and says, hey, I've had this really cool idea, but it needs a spaniel to work, you've then got a Labrador and you need to invest more capex, you need to invest more money to make that infrastructure now fit for purpose for the new requirements. There's an interesting parallel there, but one that helps people understand that the fixed size and shape of your infrastructure will be a limiter for you if you invest into it in that way, and that's where sort of infrastructure as a service and network as a service is really now helping people consume technology more like bugs. You know, you have no commitment to it, there's lots of them around, you can turn it on or off. If you kill one today, you'll be there tomorrow and come back, which gives you the flexibility to turn technology on and off and keep you moving at the rate of development.
Nice. So Labradors, not Spaniels. And then just to finish off, we have 3 minutes. We're just going to talk about sexy tech of the future. As LiveStyled, we see a lot of new technology. We were part of the team that delivered the AR Michael Bublé that was so enamouring Steve Bryce earlier. One of the things that we're seeing in the new technology space is flexibility. In that technology must be able to fit into all existing systems, not creating new silos. And also being a heads-up experience, so that although mobile is very, very important, that we are in an entertainment space and people must have their heads up, and technology must interact with them in all of those ways that focus on making the entertainment spectacle as great as it can be. Guys, from each of you, 1 minute each, where do you see the future of technology going?
For me, to help us to offer a customized service to one of my clients, to each client by client, because we have very hardcore supporters, very hardcore clients that they are really willing to receive a message from Real Betis saying, Ramón, you are with your kids in the stadium, I know it's his birthday, we'll go there and buy him a jersey from Mark Barton. So I think we have a great opportunity if we achieve with technology, with big data, to offer each of our clients what they are looking for.
Excellent. Jay?
I think for us it's, like you said, enhancing that experience on the day. If you're at a festival and you can pre-order your food and your drink and there's no queue, then that makes your day that little bit better. But I think it comes back to that heads-up point that you have to be in the moment, you have to be enjoying the why, everything else that we offer, and the tech should facilitate that but not overtake it.
Great. Ramón?
Yeah, I'd echo everything that was said there, but for me I'm looking to sort of the venues in 2022, 2025 and some of the projects we're involved in there. I'm talking about the one-liner of being as operationally efficient as the best of airports and as engaging as the best of theme parks.
Great. Thank you very much, everyone. Would you please put your hands together for our amazing panel?